All right, today we're going to dive into a word that gets thrown around a lot, but is often kind of misunderstood: management. And no, it's not just for people in fancy suits. We're going to break down what it really is and show you how it's pretty much the secret sauce for getting anything done. So, when you hear the word management, what's the first thing that pops into your head? A CEO, maybe, in a big corner office? That's the classic picture, right? But what if I told you that you're probably already a manager and you don't even know it? I mean, just look at these two pictures. On one side, you've got a student team trying to get over 300 grand for their project. On the other, a runner planning out their very first 10K race. On the surface, they could not be more different. But deep down, they're both using the exact same management skills. It just goes to show you, management isn't a title. It's the process of making a goal happen. So, what is it really? Well, at its heart, a great definition is the art of getting things done through people. It's all about taking a goal, any goal, and using every resource you have, especially people, to hit that target both efficiently and effectively. And those two words, efficiently and effectively, bring up a super important point. See, efficiency is all about doing things right, not wasting time or money. But effectiveness, that's about doing the right things in the first place. You can be the most efficient ladder climber in the world, but if that ladder is leaning against the wrong building, you're not very effective, are you? Great management is all about finding that perfect balance between the two. So, how do managers actually pull this off? Well, it boils down to a pretty simple but really powerful toolkit. Let's get into the basic framework that every manager uses, called the POLC framework. Now, the first thing you've got to understand is that this is not some one-and-done checklist. It's a continuous loop. These four functions, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling, they all feed into each other, creating this constant cycle of action and feedback. So first up, you've got planning. This is your blueprint, your roadmap. You're asking, where are we trying to go and what's the best way to get there? This is all about setting the goals and figuring out the strategy.
Then you move into organizing. Okay, you've got the plan. Now you have to line up your ducks in a row. Who's doing what? What stuff do they need? This is where you actually build the structure that's going to make the plan possible.
Next is leading. This is the human part of the equation. It's about motivating the team, giving them direction, and just creating an atmosphere where people actually want to do great work and hit those goals. And finally, there's controlling. And no, that does not mean being a micromanager. It's just about checking in. How are we doing? Are we hitting our milestones? And if we're off track, what little adjustments do we need to make? It's that essential course correction that loops you right back into planning for the next phase. Okay, so that's the what of management. Now let's talk about the who, because depending on where you are in an organization, you're going to be wearing a lot of different hats. You've probably seen this before. The traditional way to look at management is like a pyramid. You've got all the employees at the bottom, and as you go up, you have these different levels of managers, all the way from the team leaders right up to the top execs. And each level has a totally different focus. Top managers are thinking about the big, long-term picture. Middle managers are the ones who take that big vision and turn it into actual plans. First-line managers are on the ground floor, directing the day-to-day work. And team leaders are right there with their teams, helping them get things done. And having experience at all those levels, it's priceless. A perfect example is Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors. She started out at GM as an intern. She worked her way up through the assembly plant, through engineering, and all of that hands-on experience gave her this incredibly deep understanding of the business that she now needs to lead the whole company. So what kind of skills are we talking about? Well, they usually fall into three main buckets. You've got technical skills. That's the nuts and bolts of a specific job. Then there are conceptual skills. That's the ability to see the big picture. And finally, human skills, your so-called soft skills, which are all about working well with other people. Every manager at every level needs a good mix of all three. But here's the thing, being a good manager today is about way more than just the basics. The world is changing so fast, and that means every leader is facing this whole new gauntlet of challenges. I mean, just take a look at this list. You've got to stay competitive, keep up with AI, build diverse and inclusive teams, deal with globalization, maintain high ethical standards. Oh, and also make sure your employees are happy and feel like their work matters. It is an absolutely incredible balancing act. Let's just focus on a couple of these. Technology, for instance, is a complete game changer. We're talking AI, big data, the massive shift to remote work. This isn't science fiction anymore, it's happening right now. And managers who can't adapt are going to get left behind. Simple as that. And then you've got globalization. Our world is so incredibly connected now, and that means a manager has to be able to work with different cultures, different markets, different ways of doing business. It's a huge opportunity for sure, but man, is it complex. So after hearing all that, you might be thinking, whoa, that is a lot. And you're right. But here's the really cool part. Learning these management skills is probably the single best thing you can do for your career. Check this out. There are these models of career readiness that show exactly what employers are hunting for when they're hiring. You can almost think of it like a cheat sheet for the skills that will make you a superstar candidate in any field. And just look at what's on the list. Critical thinking, leadership, professionalism, teamwork. Sound familiar? It should. These are the core management skills we've been talking about this whole time. When you get good at these, you give yourself a massive edge in the job market. So, at the end of the day, it really comes down to this. Forget the title. Management isn't a position you get promoted into. It's a skill set. It's a practice. And it's something you can work on and get better at every single day. Which really just leaves one last question. Whether it's launching your dream company, learning a new instrument, or just leading your team through a tough week, you've got the toolkit. So, what goal are you going to manage next?